Hi guys, happy Monday night. It is Rita here from Picked and Polished, and I'm so excited to do part 2 of our gnome painting on a board. So many of you probably saw my little gnome shutter here. It went a little bit viral on my page, and so as a small thank you, I decided to do a 2-part series. Let me know if you guys are here. I see Kate Chase is on. Hi, Kate. So I decided to do a 2-part series to show you how to do this on a board, because on a board, it's much easier to teach because it's a flat, even, smooth surface. And some of you have already started painting your gnomes and sending me pictures, and I love to see that. So hi, Pamela. Hi, Mary. Thanks for hopping on tonight. So we're going to be continuing on, and this is about, I haven't even touched the gnome since the last time we did our live. I promised some people I wouldn't do a single thing. So this is the gnome on the board, and this is the shutter gnome. And tonight we're going to be adding, we're going to be doing some touch-ups, adding some details and embellishments. I'm going to add a little sign to the bottom and a little, I'm going to teach you guys how to do the messy bow with a couple of pieces of ribbon that I have. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Teresa. Yes, my wood stove is on. I missed who just said that, but Jason, it's snowing here in New Hampshire today. My husband was so good. He came out and warmed up the shop. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, so if my voice gets a little wonky, just kind of bear with me. I'm not feeling 100% tonight, but I'm still super excited to be here with you. So yeah, so we're going to turn this into something more like this. We're going to add embellishments and some cute little details. And I have you guys, Melody says I'm painting also. Yay, Melody! Hi, Carrie. So make sure you guys sprinkle this out into the Facebook universe, if you know what I'm saying, because you never know. Somebody might find this tutorial really, really handy, especially with the holiday season coming up. So for those of you that are new here, my name is Rita Freecott. I own Picked and Polished, and I'm also the owner and creator of the DIY Decor Makers Group, which is an online community of women. I teach them how to use their Cricuts and make DIY decor with stencils that are both reusable and the sticky vinyl stencils. And we're going to be using the sticky vinyl stencils tonight. Hi, Melissa. New to watching, so welcome for being here. I'm so glad you're here. And if you guys have questions, you know, as always, post your questions in the feed. I know a lot of my DIY divas, the ladies that are in my group, are on tonight. So thanks, ladies, for being here. And they are always so great about jumping in and answering questions when they have time as well. So we're going to get started. I'm going to be using Dixie Belle paint tonight. I'll probably be using the Rustic Red for the snowflakes. I'll be using maybe a little bit more wax. The black is called Caviar. And you can get any of these supplies on my website, pickedandpolishedblog.com. And if you have questions about what materials I use with my Cricut, I keep things very, very simple. I use 631 stencil vinyl, and I use a paper tape. Now, those products are in my Amazon shop, and I can post the link to that as we go on. Hi, Marcia. How are you? Hi, Laura Lee. How are you, my friends? Okay. So pass this along, sprinkle this out into the Facebook world. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm also going to show you what a difference the clear coat makes on this piece. And I've got you guys up high tonight so you can have a really good vantage point with my camera. So it's going to take me just a second to adjust it. I'm going to show you how I weed the stencil. And those of you that have been watching me for a while, you're probably like, oh my goodness, she's doing it again. But I get questions about this all the time, so I want to make sure that everybody knows how to do this and how easy it is when you cut a stencil with 631 vinyl on your Cricut machine, or another cutting machine if you have one. All right, so I'm going to grab my paper tape. It's over here. Hold on just a second. All right. And I'm super excited, too, because we've been working on this gnome door hanger in my DIY Decor Makers group this month, and I'm really excited to continue this project on with my divas tomorrow morning at 11. All right, so I already painted a little piece of wood. It's about 5 by 6 or 4 by 6, I think. And that's going to be the little sign that goes on the bottom of the gnome, so you can kind of see where it's going to go. It's going to go kind of like, you know, kitty corner like that, off at an angle. Hi, Sue. Hi, Pamela. No painting gnomes tonight, but sewing gnomes as I watch. Ooh, nice. I wish I could sew. Oh my gosh, that's good for you. I'd love to see them. Post them in the comments if you finish up and you want to share a picture. I'd love to see. All right, so I'm going to turn my camera down, and if you guys have questions, thank you, Elaine. That's so nice. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them in the feed, and I will try to answer them as I'm painting, and if I miss it, don't panic. I'll go back and answer your questions when we're finished, okay? Or later on tonight after I get into bed. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera down. You guys know I'm a messy, messy, messy painter, so excuse my mess, but that's just the way I roll. I've got these great felt back tablecloths that I love. I use them for everything, including the workshops. And I teach women how to use their Cricut, all for their home, to sell items in their business, and for DIY workshops. So all the projects that we do in there are geared towards any three of those things. So this would make a great workshop project as well. All right, and if you missed the first one, you can go back to the Monday video, and if you're on my email list, pickedandpolishedblog.com, I'll be sending out the links to both of the videos probably tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and weed my stencil, and all that means is I'm just going to pull the vinyl up where the Cricut cut, and basically anywhere I want paint to go is what I'm going to pull up with my little weeding tool here. I'm just going to be a little bit careful because it's smaller. Okay. Here we go. So is it snowing anywhere else besides New Hampshire? I haven't really paid much attention to the national weather lately. Let's see, I want to make sure I can see. Hi, Kim. Oh, good, nice view. Okay. So, here we go. And I just cut this vinyl on the stencil vinyl setting, the custom stencil vinyl setting. And the font I used, and I can post it, I can make a post for this after, is in Cricut Access, and I can't remember if I paid $1 for it or if it was free with a subscription. But it's called Creative Memory Making or something like that. But I will post a screenshot of the actual font so that if you guys have a Cricut and you want to make something similar, you know exactly which font I use. I'm going to try to start doing that more frequently because I get that question a lot too. What font, what fonts I use and things like that. All right, so now my little stencil is weeded. I can go, and I know it's backwards, but I couldn't flip the camera. Suzanne says lots of snow in Ontario. Oh boy. Hi, Kristen. All right, so now I'm going to put my paper tape down. And this comes in, this and this come in a huge, ginormous roll. I get them on Amazon. You can get them at a million other places. But I have them in my Amazon shop for easy purchasing. Because that's another thing when you start to use your Cricut. A lot of people feel just like really overwhelmed with where to start, what materials to get, and all that good stuff. And so I keep it very, very simple. And just use a couple basic supplies for my stenciling. And I buy them in bulk, so I save money that way. Oops. I'm just trying to cut it nice and evenly. I'm going to go ahead and apply the stencil on the little board here. And just smooth out my, sorry about the jiggliness. I've got the camera on my table tonight, so it's a little wiggly. And then I'm going to flip it over. This is a 3-part stencil, and right now all I'm doing is taking the backing off. The transfer tape's job, this white stuff I applied, the job is to transfer it or move the stencil from the backing to the surface that you're going to be stenciling on. As long as I have everything off the backing, I know I'm good to go. Kim, thank you. She said, I use Rita Store. It's amazing. I try to keep it really simple. What size is the board the Gnome is on? Oh, I sent it in the email supply list, and I'll send it again if you're on my email list. But I want to say it's 7 by 22 or 8. It's an 8-inch board by 22, which would mean that it's really 7.5. Because when you buy 8x boards, they're never, they're always about a 1/2 inch shy of the measurement that you're buying. I'm just going to make sure that this is all fitting on the wood. It's hard to see with the light that I have out here tonight. Hold on. Make sure my little star is going to fit here. There we go. Whoops, I got a little bit of room here. I guess this piece of wood is a little bit small because it was cut unevenly. Just a piece of scrap wood, so it's no big deal if it's a little off. I really like that rustic look anyway, so. All right, so now I'm just gonna smooth it down. And I'm gonna go ahead and just peel this back. And as I peel, I'm just gonna put pressure, okay? And there we go. And you can see there's that little piece there. That's just the inside of the O. So I'm just gonna push that back down. I'm not gonna get in a panic. Same thing with the little piece of the A. Just gonna do it slowly, push it down, and there we go. Got our stencil on there. And I think I'm just gonna do white and green on this. So I'm gonna use Dixie Belle's Fluff. And I prefer the chalk mineral based paints because they're thicker and you're gonna have less bleed through. Or bleeding, sorry, underneath your stencils. And some people use those little makeup brushes. I use regular craft brushes. And I make sure they're super duper dry before I start stenciling. Hi, Beth. Yeah, Kim said you could do this on canvas. You definitely could. And you know, I did a reverse canvas tutorial a long time ago. I think it might be on my YouTube channel, actually. And you know, those canvases have really nice frames if you flip them around. That would be really pretty to do. So I'm just gonna do all of this in white, and then I'm just using very little paint on my brush. Like, less is more, you guys. You can always go back and add more if you want to add. And then the nice thing about the chalk-based paints is they dry super quick. Sorry about my voice tonight. It's a little funky. Just not feeling great. Okay, so here we go. And just get this on there, and then we'll start the fun stuff, which is all the details on the gnome. But I wanted to get this done so that this could be drying while we're working on everything else. And if I were to do these for like a sale or you know, prep everything for a workshop, I would definitely do them in like an assembly line style. I would do all my little signs, and then I would do all the other things together. And if you guys are local, my friend Kate Chase is actually doing one of these workshops at the Altered Studio the beginning of December. I don't know if it's been posted yet or not on their website or on their Facebook page, but definitely check out the Altered Studio. I'm just going to do like just a little bit like dry brushed and leave a little bit of the black showing, so it gives it just a little bit of texture. And then normally I would let this dry, but since we're live, I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. And there it is, Gnome for the holidays. It's really cute. And I think because this is a smaller piece of wood, it was just like a scrap I had kicking around. It's a little uneven. I'm going to probably do a ribbon, like actually on the beard itself, because I don't have a lot of space. Whereas like on this guy, I had a little space up in the corner, and this one I don't have so much. So I'm just gonna do it on the actual board tonight, just so you guys can see. So we're gonna go ahead and set that off to the side for now. And I'm gonna add some snowflakes. So typically when I cut little itty bitty snowflake stencils, I'll make a bunch of them. Hi Darla, how are you feeling? I'll make a bunch of them just so I have them. Like, I know I'm always going to be using like snowflakes for little embellishments or details or whatever. So it's always good when you're cutting stencils on your Cricut to just, you know, when you're doing generic things like this, just cut a few more. So I'm going to go ahead and just add, I'm going to cut these apart. Normally I would cut while the backing is still on because now I'm dealing with like the stickiness, but it's okay. Gonna try to get them so they're not I don't want them to be totally even Steven. So cutting them with the backing is still on them. That's a much better way to do it. Hi, Sue. Patty loves gnomes. I know, aren't they so fun? You know what's funny, you guys? I was never a huge like gnome fan, but suddenly I am one. I've converted to the gnome fan family, I think. So one of the things that might be happening here, I'm noticing my stencils aren't sticking as well as they normally do, and this, I'm really glad this happened, because so typically if you're waxing a surface, which I went over this at the very end of our last tutorial and I added some wax, it's going to resist the stickiness of the stencil a little bit, but it's no big deal. I'll just put these off to the side here. I'll just make sure I go super duper lightly with my paint. But just so you know, if it were me and I were to do, like if I were going to do this at a workshop or something like that, I would want to make sure that my waxing was my last step, because if I'm doing any more stenciling, it can get a little tricky when you've got a little wax on the surface, especially when you're doing lettering, or, you know, really just gonna pull this over. Don't love that those were lined up. And then just one more up here. And if you want to know how to draw the actual silhouette and the actual gnome itself, you can go back to last Monday's tutorial and watch that. So now I'm just going to push and peel up these corners. And again, this would be much more sticky if I hadn't already waxed the surface, but it's still going to work out okay. I'm not going to get too much in a panic about that. I'm just going to keep cruising here. Okay. There's that. Same thing here. And some of you may feel like you want these to be super straight. I kind of like them a little, I like things a little rustic and a little imperfect, so I don't mind if they're a little, you know, not symmetrical, I guess. I'm just going to do this part. And after this, we'll do some polka dots, and then I'm going to go around the edges and touch up some of the black. And I'm excited to show you the messy bow, because I'm a terrible bow maker. And this is, Pamela says now I love them. Hi, Rima. No, I was never a huge gnome fan, but boy, I feel like I could put them on anything and it would be cute. All right, so that's good for this. That's good for those, I think, for now. Let's do a little bit of the red here. Forgot what I was saying. Don't remember. Here we go. All right. Oh, I'm going to touch up the black. And, oh, the messy bow. I'm excited to show you guys that at the end, because I'm not a great bow maker. So notice, you guys, I'm not using a lot of paint here. And I'm okay if it's not completely covered heavily, because I kind of like how it looks a little bit distressed. So I'm just going to kind of go with the flow here. Not a lot of paint. Just kind of dabbing it on. Just like that. And I may go over this and do some sanding with the sanding block tomorrow, or tonight. We'll see how much time we have. I think sanded edges might be nice, at least. Does anybody else have that yucky throat thing going on right now too? Just woke up with it this morning. All right, so one more. And then we'll do some polka dots. We'll touch up the black. And I'm just going to pull these off really quickly. And because these are small and simple, you can reuse them if you want to. But anyway, they add a lot to, this is Lauralee, this is the rustic red, but Dixie Belle also makes the barn red's really pretty. That's a brighter, more like true, like bright Christmas red, if you want to call it that. And then the muscadine wine is like a brick brownish, has brownish undertones. And then what other one was I thinking? Oh, the new one, which is the rusty nail, has like orangey brown undertones to it. All right, so I've got like a chiseled brush here and then just like a 1-inch flat top tipped brush. And I'm going to use my Caviar, which is their Truest Black. And just gonna kind of dab it in. I'm not gonna go super heavy, you guys, because I don't want it to look like, I don't know, I just don't want it to look like super heavily painted, I guess. Like I don't mind a little bit of the white showing through from the base coat that I did. So we're just gonna kind of, I've got my chiseled edge brush here. I'm just gonna kind of fluff out this hard edge a little bit so it doesn't look so, so much like a hard edge. I'm gonna soften that edge, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I'm finding it hard to find my right words tonight. Okay. Just kind of blend it in a little bit, just so it doesn't look so hard and blunt. Just taking a little bit of, and some of you may prefer like a cleaner line, and that's totally, I'm sure that would look pretty too. I just like, you know, like I said, I just like it to look a little bit more rustic. So I'm going light with my paint, just kind of filling in these areas here. And I definitely want to add some wax details to that pom-pom because it's looking a little too perfect. So we're just going to kind of shade it in a little with a little bit of black paint. And then I'll go over it with the wax and just make some layers with that, okay? I'm going to do that to this side here. Just get a little bit of black paint over on this edge. Kind of finish it off. Okay. Then we'll take a small paintbrush with like a micro brush and do some polka dots. What size was this small piece of wood? It's like a 4x6-ish is the size. And this is a 7.5-inch board. So yeah, it's like a 4x6. Well, it's 22 by 8. It's a 22 by 8. If you went to the lumber yard, you'd buy a 1x8. But they shrink and really it's 7.5. All right, so now I'm going to do some red. Actually, should I do a little bit of green for polka dots? That might be kind of fun. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's do a little bit of the kudzu green because that matches the tree in the sign. And I'm just going to do some like little offset polka dots here. And on the gnome on the shutter, I just did white. So in case you're wanting it to look just like that, then the white is the color that I used on that. It's kind of fun. Something a little different. Okay, what do you guys think? Do you like the green? Just adds a little bit of pop of color. All right, and I could also go through and do some red polka dots if I wanted to as well on the white. That might be pretty. Or some white polka dots on the red too. But I really want to make sure I get to the clear coat and I'm just gonna pull this vinyl off here. You can see. I want to get to the clear coat and the messy bow tonight because those were a lot of fun. Well, the clear coat isn't as much fun, but so Dixie Belle paint does not need to be sealed. However, if you're dealing with a dark color and it gets like scratched at all, it looks chalky. And I feel like whenever I'm doing anything with detail, like with wax or anything like that, I want the details to really pop, and anytime I distress something or whatever, I feel like the clear coat is what really kind of pulls everything out on the surface. So I'm a big fan of using either a satin clear coat or the gator hide. If this were going outside, I would definitely want to do the gator hide. So let me just take a little bit of the Best Dang wax and get some details on that little pom-pom at the top. I'm using the black wax, and that's what I used on the bottom as well. And by the way, thank you to all of our veterans out there today. I did not say that at the beginning, and I meant to. I appreciate all that you've done and all your family members have done to sacrifice for all of us that don't serve. It's an amazing thing that you do. All right. I know the families that are left behind also sacrifice quite a bit too. I have some friends that are in that situation. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just take a tiny bit of the black wax and just kind of wipe some of it off. And it's a water-based wax, so just going to kind of do some crisscrosses just to give the pom-pom a little texture here. So it doesn't look so, maybe some little blotches too. Little dots or whatever. Just gives it a little more something. All right. Now we're gonna let these dots dry and everything kind of dry up. And before we can do any clear coat, those all have to be really, really dry. So in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get the ribbon out. You guys can help me decide. I bought some new ribbon today, you guys. It was, Joann's has like 70% off on their holiday stuff right now. And I usually don't buy ribbon because it's so expensive. I usually buy cotton fabric and I tear it. I buy it by the yard and it saves me tons of money. But because it was on sale, it was so inexpensive, I couldn't pass it up. And their garlands and their berries and stuff are on sale as well today too. So I'm not sure how long the sale is going on. But I thought I'm a pretty thrifty shopper, so if I think it's a deal, you guys probably will too. All right, so you guys have to help me decide. So on this guy, we had the red buffalo check and the black buffalo check. But on this one, I was thinking we could mix it up a little bit. I've got this, I bought the cheaper ribbon, and sometimes I'll like cut it in half. This was only $4 for a big thing of it. But this is kind of cute. We could pair these up. Or I also have the gray, but I'm feeling like the gray might be a little off. So what do you guys think about this pattern with the gnome? Let me show you. Do you guys like this? That'd be kind of fun. Something a little bit different, I think. Throw me some hearts if you guys think I should be using this pattern or just the red. I could do the red buffalo check, but I've done that before and I feel like it might be nice to have something a little bit different. All right, I'm seeing some hearts. All right, let's give it a try and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I just make another bow, right? Okay, so for all of you bow makers or people that struggle with bow making, this tutorial part of this tutorial is dedicated to you, my friends. So, because I'm not a great bow maker. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take, this is probably 8 inches, I'd say, of, well, this is 7. So yeah, about 8 inches of ribbon. And we're just going to cut across. I'm going to do the same thing again with each one. So now I've got 2 of each at 8 inches long. Okay, and I'm just going to cut across. It doesn't have to be totally exact because you're going to trim it up at the end anyways. And then I have 2 of the buffalo check, 2 of the other pattern. Looks like a sweater, a vintage sweater pattern. And then I'm going to do 1 more of the red. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is just going to layer them. I'll start with my chubby one at the bottom and do a T, and then layer the next one, do another T, and then I'm going to come across, I'm going to pinch it, come across the bottom in between and just tie it off. Yay! Okay. Nice and tight, okay? And then the other side is nice and neat if you like a neater look on one side than the other. And I'll show you what happens when we kind of stretch it out. And then what you can do is you can actually You can double knot. You can either double knot or you can make another little tiny bow and put it on the top and glue it on if you like a nice neat little bow on top. So maybe we'll do that with a buffalo check. Maybe I'll get this nice and tight. Let me just see if I'm pulling the right strings here. I try to make sure they're like pretty even on each side. And then I tighten it good and maybe do it one more time if I feel like I need to. There we go. Okay. So you could either leave it like that and trim it down, or you guys could add a little bow, like make a separate bow. I'll show you what I mean by that. This one I'll probably make a little bit longer, closer to 12 inches long. And I could even cut this one in half if I want to, if I feel like it's going to be too big, but let's give it a try and see what happens. So I'm just going to make a little bow. I know it's awkward to see me tying anything with fabric, you guys, because I am not a bow making queen by any stretch of the imagination, but this is kind of fun, and you could do it with fabric. It doesn't have to be just the ribbon. You could do it with fabric strips or whatever you have kicking around. So you could always add this little bow on top of that, and I'm going to show you how to finish this off. So we're going to trim these up, obviously. We're going to give them those nice little edges, but the first thing I want to do is kind of see how it looks, how it fits on my board, and then we'll add this guy to the top of it. Okay, so let's get our gnome back over here. Excuse me. Can you guys see that okay? So we're going to move the gnome over, and all right, I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue my sign on. You could, if these are going to go outside, you guys, I would highly recommend like nailing them on, or at least wood glue, maybe even nailing as well, only because oops, do it this way. So hot glue doesn't love being out in the elements. So I would say if I were selling these and they were going outside, I would probably say a nailer or some finishing nails and some wood glue would probably, just to be safe, just to be on the safe side. All right, so that's obviously way too big. So I could even do 6-inch length bows, but I want to make sure that I have room to kind of cut them down. So I'm going to kind of spread them out a little bit, even them out, and then I'm going to cut them down. And I'm just going to come down here. Hate to waste all this beautiful ribbon, but go ahead and give it a little trim. Fold and trim. So all of you fancy bow makers out there, don't judge. This is just something fun that I do because it's easier for me and I like the layered look anyway. So let's see. And if you have double-sided ribbon, you don't have to worry as much about pulling it to look nice, because it's going to look, you know, you're going to have it the nice part showing on both sides. Just going to keep trimming. Try to get them about, you know, so they look similar anyway. Wait, is that right? Did I do that right? Hold on. Hold tight. There we go. There we go. So you definitely want to have extra so that you can trim them up, because I do feel like when you do this part, it definitely finishes the ribbon off. But just personal preference, but that's just what I think. So you could leave it like that. right? And that looks kind of fun. Or just mix up get a mix of the red with the black here. Or you could put the little bow on that as well. Let me just trim this one up. Okay. So I don't know. I've got this little guy here that can go on in the center. I kind of like it without the bow in the center. What do you guys think? I like it just like that. But I'm kind of a plain Jane kind of girl. So if you like it finished, then you could add a little bow on the top. If you don't, if you like it kind of wild and crazy, you could just do that. And I think I would probably go ahead and trim this side down a little bit more and go ahead and get that on that side. But I'm just going to hot glue it on just so it's on there for now. And then I will go back and kind of trim this up later on. Because I do want to get, I'll show you guys what the clear coat does. So I'm just putting a little dab of hot glue on there, just kind of holding it down. And I definitely think this side is way too long. Here, you guys can see. So I will definitely trim those up and kind of pull that together a little bit more. But I kind of like that different fabric. It's a little bit, just something a little different. Okay, so now, and normally too, I would do the clear coat first before I add the fabric, but because we were waiting for this to dry and we're on live, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you the difference. So I'm gonna use the gator hide tonight. It has, Dixie Belle also makes a gloss clear coat. But this is the higher, if you get their plain satin, it's a little less glossy than the gator hide. The gator hide's a satin finish, but it's a little bit more of a high satin, if that makes sense. So I always give it a good, I kind of shake it up a little bit. And then if I were going to distress this, I would probably distress before I put my clear coat on. But I just want to give you an idea. And obviously it's going to look different right now because it's wet. But I always do a staged photo when we're done with our projects together. So I will stage this tomorrow in good lighting. And you'll see what it looks like when it's dry. But the gator hide gives it a really nice sheen. And if I wanted to go back and just sand the edges, I probably could. But if you sand, you always want to, even if you're just using a sanding block, you always want to go over it with, a tack cloth or just a lint-free cloth to kind of get rid of some of that dust. And again, normally I would not add my fabric until I was done with the clear coat. But you can definitely tell it just pulls out the areas that are a little bit textured a little bit more. It makes the lettering pop. My letters are a little off kilter, but I'm gonna blame that on my sore throat. So there we go. Let me pull that up a little bit. Let me just trim. These are driving me crazy. I just want to trim these edges a little bit. Just so that it doesn't look so uneven. Here we go. That's better. And then this guy here. Oops. Okay. All right, so on my original gnome, I used the red buffalo check, but I like, trying something a little different just to see. I'm going to move my camera. All right. So, sorry guys, my camera's super high tonight so I could give you a good view. So I'll show you the comparison between the board and the shutter. The shutter's a little bit smaller than the board, and it's a little bit more rustic, but you can tell this one has the clear coat on it. And it really does make a difference, I feel like. It makes the colors pop a little bit. So, so anyway, if you're looking for the complete tutorial for this, you're definitely going to want to get on my email list at pickedandpolishedblog.com and subscribe, because I'll be sending you the links to this video and the one that I did before, along with the supply list that I used to create these adorable gnomes. And you can do these on anything, you guys. Look, even a door hanger, right? So let me know if you guys have any questions. Let's see. Do the colors ever bleed when you put on the sealer? That's a great question, Melissa. So sometimes they will, especially the reds. Reds are going to be your most frequently bleeding colors, I guess. But you just have to make sure they're really, really dry, and then I don't ever have a problem. Sometimes the wax, because I used a water-based wax, a Dixie Belle Best Dang wax, sometimes the wax will move, but I kind of like that because it blends it a little bit more. It makes it look a little bit more subtle and blended. But typically no, like if I let this dry, like, you know, even an hour or use a hair dryer, I should be able to clear coat without any bleeding or dragging. But if you use a ton of paint, it's going to take a little bit longer. But that's a nice thing about using the chalk-based paint, is you don't have things dry so much faster than like an acrylic paint or a latex paint. So that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. So thank you everybody for watching tonight. And please sprinkle this out into the Facebook world. And I look forward to seeing you guys again on my next free live tutorial. Have a great night. Bye.